O'Brien podcast reaches thousands and thousands of BC fans each week. Your company has the unique opportunity to tap into this upscale audience by becoming a sponsor. Contact Mike Wynn at MWINN@bostoncollegeas.com for more information.
This is the Bill O'Brien podcast with your host, John Meterparel.
Caught past the 25 to the 20 to the 15, goes Bond to the 10 to the 5 towards the end zone and in. Lewis Bond is the Eagle in the end zone.
Producer Ciaccio.
We were using the equipment from like the 1970s when Ciaccio was...
It was the 90s. It was the 90s.
Ciaccio was like
the
hanging out with his neighborhood
gerbil
buddies.
in the back was cranking it up.
Yeah.
The Bill O'Brien podcast, talking BC football, sports, pop culture.
The sun will come up tomorrow, slowly, but it'll come up.
The Bill O'Brien podcast.
Episode 45. Luke, I am your father.
Star Wars?
Give me the breathing. Give me the breathing.
Oh, come on.
Come on, we're not going there.
No, but you know what? I deserve it.
I'm kidding.
I'll admit.
I'll take half.
I told
that
a couple people it was Ciaccio, but I have to admit that it was me, heavy breathing in the Mike Vrabel interview. I apologize for that.
I'll take some of that. I could have told you.
No,
Inside baseball, Bill was very worried about the breathing. I said, Bill, you can't stop breathing.
Dan Copen,
you must persevere.
Dan Copen, one of the great friends of the BC football program and obviously a great player, Brady's center for at least 10 years, he was the first one to text me. He said, hey, great podcast, but somebody's got to watch their breathing.
Thanks, Cope. Cope, come on and teach us how to breathe.
All right,
I've heard it all.
Mr. Technician.
I've heard it all. Now we have this great new equipment.
I know. It's very sensitive to
purchase thanks to you.
Breathing.
Yeah. The equipment's great, but I did. That's my mistake.
No.
It won't happen again.
We're only kidding.
Right
of
now,
course.
the mic is 6 inches from my mouth.
Yeah, we call that mic management.
Mike Etiquette 101. Broadcast 101.
All right, but we should start with episode 45. With
It's easy.
well, it's Ray for LaFrance.
What?
Otis, my man Smith.
It's Pedro Martinez.
Of course,
The greatest. I mean,
course
I don't know about the greatest, but he was incredible.
he was classic theater.
and a badass.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Not afraid.
Not
Not
afraid.
afraid to take the ball.
You think he pitched longer than he did here? He was only 6 years.
Yeah, he was.
I know.
He wasn't very big, remember? But he had those. He had that long. He had a big hand, and he could whip the ball. Like,
In spring training, we'd sit with him, and
Yeah.
we'd look at it. He'd say, "Look at my hands."
his fingers.
He'd say, "This is why
Yeah,
I'm a great pitcher."
no question. He was fun to watch.
It was awesome to watch.
He was fun to watch.
He was, and he had his days at the end. And speaking of that, we sit here on the eve of the Rafael Devers deal, and we're all kind of shaking our heads and wondering where the franchise is going.
It's just hard because it was like a funeral in my home last night. Because as you guys know, Colleen and Michael are the biggest Red Sox fans of all time. We went to the game the other night when the Yankees, when we beat the Yankees the first game, 2-1.
Extra innings.
You saw the Judge home run.
Saw the Judge home run. I was sitting right there. Judge, by the way, 6'7", looks like Gronk.
I don't think that ball has landed
does.
yet, by the way.
Way over.
Oh, my God.
That was a
That was on
490 feet.
90.
shot.
That landed on 90. But then, to win that game like that, and then obviously to sweep them, and then the same day you sweep them, they trade a guy. When Rob, you can say whatever you want about not playing first, not playing third, and I have my issues with that as a coach and looking for good teammates and stuff. But Rafi, every time he got up to bat, you were talking about a guy that could hit a bomb. I just think it's not just about not what happened during. It's about what happened before the season even started.
Did
Does that
that
make
ever
sense?
happen? Did you ever do that with a player that you signed?
See, that's where I've learned from my mistakes, right? Like, I don't want to get into all the things. We made a lot of trades and a lot of signings in Houston, and people don't really know what goes into that. A lot of times ownership's involved with that. It's not just one guy making a decision. It's a collaborative decision. So everybody that's killing Breslow and, killing all those, you can't do that. It's a collaborative decision. In the end, the owner signs off. It starts at the top. And so, but you guys know, I know you two, you love the Red Sox, and they're won 5 in a row. They're on the right track. Who knows? You've got these guys, they're homegrown.
Right.
And the fans love them. You got to think about the fans. You do have to think about the fans a little bit and the excitement in the crowd. When I was at the Yankees, every time Rafi gets up to bat, the crowd stands up. Or in Crochet, when they brought him out for the 9th inning, the crowd. It's just an electric atmosphere with these type of players.
Have you ever done it in reverse? Like, have you ever had a deal presented to you and you had not a malcontent, but someone who didn't agree with your philosophy, and you squashed the deal and said, work with that player to kind of get him to play third? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to get into all the specifics, but I've definitely, over the course of time in the NFL in Houston, I learned that communicating with the player was the best way to operate, and not the other way around. Right. Like, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what we're thinking. In the end, it is very important to have the majority of your team be good teammates. I do have to say that. You've got to, if a guy's refusing to play and a guy doesn't want to play, that's a tough thing. That's a very tough thing. But you got to try to figure out how to. They figured it out with Manny Ramirez, right?
Yeah, this has some elements to it.
Yeah,
Manny elements to it, because Manny was belligerent. Manny was a bad clubhouse guy. Manny was an irritant. Everybody couldn't stand Manny,
but they kept him.
They figured it out, and that's what I keep coming back to. What do we have to do to get Theo Epstein back? What do we have to do to get?
That's a question I had from Michael last night. Isn't he, and Colleen isn't he still involved? Isn't he
consultant, right?
He's a consultant, but he might
owner.
have a piece of the team.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wants any. He doesn't have any interest.
Yeah.
But to Coach's point, it's not just one guy. It's not Breslow. So he's
it's
there
collaborative.
making
This is a
that
John
kind of
Henry move.
input.
That's what I want to make clear. Like, I'm, Meter, your line of work, I respect your opinion. Obviously, you have Ciaccio, same thing. You guys, you've been around this your whole careers. For me, I'm the coach. I just want to make sure that the point of view that I come from is like, you can't blame one guy for trading this guy. You can't blame Alex. You can't blame Breslow. It's a collaborative decision. In the end, you're trading a guy like Rafi. The owner is signing off on that.
Now it's coming out today, of course. Bloom didn't want to sign Devers. Henry wanted to do it because they had so much bad publicity.
But then Henry went down there to meet with them, right, this year.
Henry went down there.
He still wouldn't play.
I know for a fact they were shopping him for weeks. That I did learn. I said that on the radio 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
On my EI show.
We talked about this on the drive over. Like, it's not like something that just happened. Like, Sunday afternoon. This was weeks in the making. But
Toronto, San Diego, Atlanta, they were all interested.
Yeah, but
when you're talking about $280 million left on a guy's contract, it takes a long time to put all that together in a trade.
Right, and the impact goes deeper than just the on the field, because it also has to do with your souvenir and your jersey sales and things like that too, right? Like, so it's not
TV commercials,
TV spots, everything like that. It's not just this guy's relieving us of $280 million, or the Giants are. It's everything.
The Giants did them a favor.
Now you're going to go to like Dick's
deeper
Sporting
than-
Goods and get 50% off
Great
jersey.
point.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
You can look at it as both teams might be saying, all right, that was a horrible deal, but it was still good for us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the...
But I'm very sentimental too. Like, I think about in Boston sports, like, Bird and Russell, they finished Havlicek, they finished their careers as Celtics, right? Red Auerbach had a way of, he was incredible. Yeah. Obviously, that's been well documented.
He was tempted, but he didn't.
But
do it.
over time, Tom Brady, in my opinion, should have finished his career as a Patriot. And I have great friends that are involved and all that, but I mean, he should have been a Patriot all the way.
He should have.
Bobby Orr, he went to the Blackhawks. That guy should have been a Bruin all the way.
Yep.
And I don't know. And maybe that's, in the end, that's what
Can't
gets
be
you.
sentimental.
You can't be sentimental.
No, you
But I
can't.
have
And
that.
Theo told us that in the aftermath of the Nomar
I'm a
deal.
little sentimental.
Well,
when
you
it
look
comes to
at
that.
the Stanley Cup Finals right
Yeah.
now.
Look at
I mean,
Marchand.
look at Marchand is lighting it up.
2 goals the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be the Conn Smythe MVP.
Yeah, he is.
Sheesh.
All right, here we go. Coming. The train's coming down the tracks.
Yeah.
You got a month left. You sit here on June 16th.
Yep.
How do you feel?
I feel good. June's tough. June's a very tough month. It's 7 days a week. It includes 3 things. It's our team that's here right now. They practice 5 days a week. We lift, run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. We can work with them, so it's legit. Our team is working very hard. We got a great bunch of kids. And then you have recruiting. So starting every Thursday night, the recruits fly in. So we'll have 15 kids per weekend. So we've already had about 45 kids in. We've got 15 more coming this weekend.
Wow.
So it'll be 60 kids at the end of June. And then we have camps. So by the time June is over, and I want to make a big deal about this because I give a lot of credit to Jackson McSherry and Brittany Pearson, Jonathan DiBiaso, Dan O'Brien. They run camp. Over the course of June, we have a 7-on-7 tomorrow. We have 18 teams coming to our 7-on-7 tomorrow. we just had 280 kids at camp yesterday, and then we'll have another big camp on Sunday, the 22nd. That will be almost 3,000 kids that have been on our campus, in football camp.
It's the way to do it, though. It's the way to get exposure.
Yeah, and it's a great school. They love it. We got the fish, and they love that. And so, yeah, but June's hard. You need a little break after June.
It's coming for you.
Yeah, a little break.
Yeah,
Well,
which
golf.
is good.
I don't
golf in
need that
July.
long of a break,
3 days.
but I need a week.
All right. Golf.
Then I'll it's between me getting a little antsy and Colleen being like,
Get out.
all right, re-entry's over.
Yeah,
We're good.
Go away.
We're good.
I mean, you get excited, like, you can see it, like,
Yeah.
developing. So
go down
it's-
there, go down to Cape, hang out, play
Yeah.
a little golf, hang with Michael, hang with Colleen and Jack. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good.
Little
good time.
golf with some people on your docket here.
Who, you two?
Sitting across.
You two?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to
Played,
check.
played yesterday. Nice birdie on 6 yesterday.
Are you guys? You guys are. I know you're probably pretty
I'm all
good.
right.
I'm not
decent.
good.
I'm decent. I haven't played a lot this year though.
I'm probably
he's
closer
decent.
to you than
How many guys at amateur golfers just say I'm decent?
Can I just say, like,
no JJ
haven't played-
Spawn.
2 years ago I played with Meter, but before that, it was like 10 years.
was
He was
terrible.
awful.
That was awful.
So he lines up, and this is where Pine Hills, he ripped it. I was like, whoa, where'd that
What
come
happened?
from?
He practiced.
He's like, I've been practicing.
Practice.
I'm like, okay,
he got better.
attaboy.
Exactly. Oh, I was terrible when
was
I first
brutal.
started. But I picked it up late. I didn't play golf until
Yeah.
I was like 30.
Golf is awesome though. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good guys.
How about JJ Spawn?
How about that
Oh,
putt?
how about that putt?
Best
Gotta give
putt
that guy
ever.
a lot of credit, man. That guy
Was that
he had
better than Tiger?
No. I
5
don't
or 6
think so.
bogeys? You overcame bogeys.
Yeah, bogeys.
I
But
know.
I mean, that
Hung
course.
in there.
I mean,
That course could
Brutal.
rip your
Brutal.
heart
How
out.
about the rough?
how about the rain?
The
They made it worse.
It was terrible.
You got Scotty Scheffler and shooting positive numbers. Something's wrong.
not good.
No.
No,
Everyone's
that's
like, he's coming back. He's coming back. He's +4. I'm like, there's
No,
no
he
way
isn't.
he's coming
I was
back.
thinking about the mental discipline and the mental toughness that it took for that guy Spawn to
Yeah.
win that. That was incredible.
Well, you could speak to that too. But like, think about kickers at a 50-yard field goal to win the game.
Got to do it.
But that's when the ghosts
A
start,
lot of it's mental.
right?
A lot
Creeping
of
in.
it's mental. Your ability to focus and block out the noise and
Yes.
concentrate on your technique and yeah.
Was
it
that
is.
part of your Father's Day schedule watching the U.S. Open?
Oh, I was here.
There's a
that's
couch
right.
right
You're
there.
here.
There's a
So
blanket.
here we go.
I know. We got the text.
We gotta
He does- he
open
tunes
up
out.
the miracle
He
here.
tunes out. 7
So-
days a week.
I know you were there.
includes
I know you were
Sunday.
here, but-
So it started at 7:30 a.m. Started meeting with recruits from 7:30 to noon. Ate some lunch. Went right over to camp. Worked camp till 5 o'clock. Went home. That's when I texted you guys. Got a little Capitol Grill.
Yeah.
How was the Capitol Grill?
Takeout. Awesome. You said it best in your return text. You can never go wrong with the grill.
You can't.
Capitol Grill's awesome.
You can't. I go to the one in Dedham.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Great service.
Great service. They
I
got
forget
a great,
the guy's
great
name.
bar
There's,
there,
there's
too.
one waiter that was with us last time, and he was amazing.
Maybe they would sponsor us.
Dude, we got the Stockyard.
Stockyard.
Stockyard's
I
awesome.
love that.
Dr. Mooney
Dr. Kevin Mooney. Dental.
Stockyard,
Mooney Dental.
Dr. Mooney.
in
Love it.
Woburn. Yeah, well, the best is Mike from the Stockyard's planning a big dinner for us when we're out in Stanford.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Meter wants to leave like Tuesday.
I'm
Can you
gonna
make
get
that
out
happen?
there early.
Meets
I'm
like,
gonna get out there. I'm going out.
Meets like, Ciaccio, we'll go Tuesday.
Play Pebble.
Mike is a great guy. We
Mike will
had a great
take us-
team dinner over there
Yeah,
a month ago.
Oh, really?
Mike's-
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike
kills it.
Kills it. No,
yeah Mike,
no
Mike's,
question about it.
Mike's good people.
And
But we
great
should,
dude, too.
before we get to our guests, we should reflect a little bit. Father's Day, very important to all of us. And, you and I don't have our dads anymore. I know
Yeah.
Ciaccio, your dad is thankfully still
Yep.
around. But
Yeah.
always a special day, but a tough day, too.
Yeah, I mean, you think about your relationship with your dad, and your dad taught you a lot of things, right? He taught you work ethic. He played catch with you in the backyard. He was at your games. My dad was a very calming influence in my life. He was much like my wife Colleen, like just a very bright guy and a guy that you could always go to for advice and everything. And he was very positive. Like he didn't really. It was never like, you're in trouble with that. No, here's a way to figure out, this job decision or this. And it's funny, like I was telling somebody the other day, it's funny you brought this up, and I bet you go through the same thing. When my dad died a little over a year ago, last spring, And I used to call him on the way home, wherever I lived.
Yep.
Whether it was 2 minutes away or half an hour away, I call him on the way home. And there's been several occasions I'll be like, I got to call Dad. And I'll say, no, he's not here anymore. So no matter how old your dad is when he passes away, you miss your dad.
I go through it.
I'm sure you cherish the times you
I
have.
went over yesterday, hung out,
Did you?
just watch a little golf,
That's awesome,
just spend a little time. Yeah.
Where does he live?
He lives up in Methuen. We grew up in Reading, but they moved to an over 55 community, so up that way.
I grew up in Andover. Methuen.
My brother lives in Andover.
When I was growing up, Methuen had great football teams.
Yeah.
Jay Flannelly says hello, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy.
Another guy that listens
That's
to our
Brady's guy?
podcast. No, he's an Andover guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's Brady's guy.
He is Brady's guy.
Yeah,
I was just texting him this week. He says, "Tell B.O.B. I love him."
I love Jay. He's a great guy.
There's an in. Let's go. 12.
I trust
Let's go.
you.
12.
It's
Brady might do it.
I think he will.
He's not going to come here, but he'll.
No, I think he
save it
would.
up. Yeah,
I think he would.
text
We'll
him.
save him.
Hey, can you do me a favor?
No, great, very well said about your dad, because I have that moment all the time when I'm in my car. I talk to my dad. Ciaccio knows I talk to him every day.
Yeah.
And I
Mayor.
talk to him after every game that I
Yeah.
broadcast, because he was
I'm sure he
always,
listened to
he
it.
never missed a game.
Yeah.
No, I remember
Ever.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
And towards the end, when he was sick, I believe it was after. It's funny how you remember this stuff. After we played Duke, it was a
Oh,
terrible
yeah.
game.
Down there,
He was
right?
down at Duke. It was like a 9-7. And I called him up, and we got
Juggernaut.
not good. We got off the plane. I called him, and I said, "Dad, what'd you think of the game?" He said, "What game?" But he was sick, so he didn't. That's how I knew it was bad.
Oh.
And he hadn't listened.
Oh, okay. I thought
that
he
was a trigger
busting
for
your
me.
chops. Yeah.
I'm like,
This is near the
This is
nearing
not
the
good.
end. Yeah.
so that one.
I got you.
That one hit.
Yeah.
But he was that type of relationship.
And he brought you to Red Sox games and yeah.
He was the mayor. He was the
You've
tour
talked-
guy.
He was the tour
best.
Best. The Red Sox named the best tour guy in Fenway Park history.
Yeah, I remember you said that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Man.
So-
Yeah, I wish I could have met him.
Oh my God,
he was great.
he would. When I tell you he would have loved you,
Yeah.
that's an
Oh, that's
understatement.
cool,
Hilarious.
He's a Dartmouth guy. He would have given you a heck about Brown. But
And I would have given him credit.
we got another connection here too, an Andover connection. Tommy DeBenedictis.
Tommy DeBenedictis. How about that?
How about that? Went to college with him.
That's a long time now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while. Another one guy brought his son to camp and he's like, Coach O'Brien. And I hadn't seen this guy in 35 years and I recognized his voice. I'm like, I know who that is. He had shades on. I know who that is. It's a guy named Mike Moriarty from
Get Out.
Andover. Yeah.
Was he
Tommy
related to Billy?
DeBenedictis.
Is he related to Billy Moriarty?
No.
Okay. You know who that is, though, right?
Yeah. No.
DeBenedictis is younger than you.
Yeah, but I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to middle school with you.
He's friends with the Perrys. I think he knows the Perrys.
Everybody knows the Perrys.
Everybody knows the Perrys.
It's that. You know the Perrys.
Legendary family.
Ernie Perry.
Legend.
When EJ was here,
E.J. Perry. Legend.
legend, great player.
My boy Johnny, down at Texas A&M now, coaching. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah. James Perry, head coach at Brown.
Yeah.
Matt Perry runs Perry's Plate in Andover, a restaurant in
That's
Andover.
Flannelly's best friend.
Yeah. Matty P.
I'm telling you, you guys are.
It's like 6
this
degrees
weird-
of Coach O'Brien.
It's like
Yeah.
this weird mafia up there.
Yeah, it is a mafia.
It is a mafia.
Mike Lane, Merrimack Valley Mafia.
Yeah, unbelievable. We're waiting on the AD, Blake James, who's going to talk to us here. Like to have sit-downs with Blake, and you deal with him throughout the offseason?
We meet every Monday. Yeah, Blake's awesome. We talk. He listens. He has things. He's very smart. He's got great business sense. I don't think BC could ask for a better guy. I mean, he's been great with us, great with me. We have a great relationship. Got a good sense of humor. I enjoy working with Blake.
And you've seen a lot of ADs through your time.
Yes, I have.
It's one of those things where it's tough if you're walking on thin ice. If you don't have that relationship that you can trust, it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, it can be, and that's what we don't. We have the exact opposite of that here. Like we have I would say there's a friendship there. We're trying to do what's best for BC and BC football and BC athletics. And he's great. He thinks this is awesome. He encourages the
He loves
podcast,
it.
the marketing of the program. He's been fantastic.
And both of you have been busy with the House ruling, or at least not, looking at the $20.5 million that BC can spend on players now
Right.
for the entire program. What do you make of what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a, let's just call it a formality. I think everybody kind of knew that this was happening, so everybody prepared for it for the last 6 months. We've been talking about this since the day I walked in here. So, yeah, we kind of knew it was coming, and, BC's in it. We're in it, and I think we're handling it the right way. It's an earn-it philosophy here at BC. You're not just going to, get it right away. You got to show us something. You'll get something early on, but then from that point forward, when you step on campus here, you're going to earn everything you get, which is, I think, is what life's all about. So I think we're on the right track. I work for the Howard's DPW. I made $3,000 a summer, and that's all I needed for the year.
I know, I was similar.
That's all I needed for the year. Was just, be able to buy a pizza.
Up Federal Hill, and you're good to go.
2025 Boston College football season tickets are sold out, but get on the wait list and get single game tickets today. Bill O'Brien and the Eagles are gearing up to host 7 games at Alumni Stadium this fall, including must-see matchups against 3 college football playoff teams, Notre Dame, Clemson, and SMU. Visit bceagles.com or call 617-552-GO-BC to secure single game tickets today and get on the wait list.
All right, as promised, Blake James, BC Athletic Director. Great to see you, Blake. How are you?
Great to be seen. Good to be with you. All is good.
As this bill talks about maybe some downtime coming up in the next couple of weeks for him, do you ever have any downtime for you?
It's changing. It used to be once your teams are done in June, you really were slow until August. I would say it slows down a lot more. You don't have the events on the weekends that you do during the rest of the year. But just when you go back to COVID, really from COVID on, there's been something every year. And so, you had COVID in 20, you had USC and UCLA announcing, they were leaving in 21, I guess they were 22. 21 was the NIL law going into effect in the state of Florida. 22 was USC and UCLA leaving. 23 we got the House, the lawsuits and everything. So it seems like ever since the summer of 2020, it's just there's been something every summer. Obviously we just got the news, a little over a week ago on the full final ruling of the House case. So yeah, there's something every summer anymore, but it's slower than it is the rest of the year.
Plus he has 31 sports.
I know.
He travels. Yeah,
you were on the road recently, right?
Yes, I was out of town last week. Obviously, we had the women's lacrosse team playing in the Final Four, and so that was a short trip just down to Gillette. Love that one. That was an easy one. But you try to have a presence with your teams, and obviously when they're having success, you want to be there and be able to be a part of it. You want to be able to be a part of everything, but when you have 31, you're not going to be able to be there and be with everyone all the time, and so you have to do as much as you can.
We were just talking about the House ruling, and that was a formality, but the whole NIL piece of it now is Deloitte is the third party, but they're in charge of every school in the country now as a clearinghouse. How does that work?
Yeah, and I think the two things, John, that I would want to make sure people understand is really we're talking about two separate things now. So we have name, image, and likeness, which we've had since, as I touched on there, since July 1st of 2021, and now we have rev share. And so, I think they both get put in the bucket of NIL a lot of times, really two different things. And so NIL going forward, any of our student athletes can continue to monetize their name, image, and likeness. They go, in that case, anything from one entity over $600 is evaluated in what they call the range of compensation for fair market value. And so that'll be one bucket. But at the same time, we have an opportunity to distribute up to $20.5 million through rev share that we don't need any justification for that revenue that we determine as long as we're within our amount as an institution. So someone may do an NIL third-party deal with one of our student athletes, and that would have to be evaluated for fair market value. Rev share is really Bill determining, in the case of football, what he feels the fair market value is in terms of the amount of rev share he has to share, how much of it does he want to give to each individual student, but that's not evaluated by Deloitte at all. It's only the third-party deals that are evaluated. So I would say keep NIL and rev share in two separate buckets because they really are different.
And the narrative nationally has been the NCAA is now not your father's NCAA. It's almost just a minimal, quote, organization, and a guy like Brian Sheehy, who they hired now from Major League Baseball as the CEO of college sports, Do you feel like that's the case?
I think it's a much different, NCAA. We've joked, I guess in my position with other colleagues, it's a kinder, nicer, gentler NCAA than what it's been, and now it's one where you don't have the enforcement arm going through that group like you did in the past, and so it'll be different to see how it plays out. Obviously, I think the NCAA still has, as we're set up today, still has as a big role. The championships are a key part of what they do. We just talked earlier about the women's lacrosse national championship being down at Gillette, and just all those different opportunities. When you look at it, of our 31 sports, 29 of them fall under the NCAA flag, and so we're hoping all 29 of those get a chance to compete in NCAA championship. But the enforcement arm of it, in a lot of ways, will go over to this new agency through Deloitte, but there'll still be some things that I think will go through the NCAA. So it'll be just as this continues to evolve, understanding which side are we responding to, and what are the rules of that sandbox.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it is a fluid structure.
Saying, we were talking before you came in, about how we meet every Monday, and I was telling Meter how enjoyable it is to meet because your business sense, your athletic sense, your ability to put all this together it's very difficult to do what he does. And so I think that's why I look forward to that meeting, because I think Blake has an ability that we all look to have. I think I have it in football, but I don't have it like Blake has it when it comes to business. So he can boil it down and has a way of explaining it that's a whole lot better than me. And I think that's what makes it a really good working relationship.
And I appreciate those compliments. And trust me, you'll never want me breaking down the X's and O's of football. So don't have me do that. That'll be one that you just continue to go to Bill on, because
no, it's both of you have certain there's complexities to the job, that's for sure. But from a football standpoint, July 30th camp starts, so that's coming. What's your mindset entering year 2 now of the Bill O'Brien regime?
Excited. I think anyone who's a college football fan is excited, to get to the start of camp, and then you get to opening day, and you get into the season, and you start going through. I was at a family reunion this weekend, and my dad's side is primarily from Nebraska, so as you can imagine, a lot of Nebraska fans, and so they're all going through the schedule, telling me what they think they're going to do, and then they want me to evaluate our schedule. And I think it's one of the things that is really special about college football is the build-up and the excitement of it. And so, I'm really looking forward to it. I think, when you look at it from an evaluation perspective, I thought we took some definite steps forward as a program this past year. As you know, you can never stay still. You have to constantly be moving. And so to see the continued progress of our program, and Bill touched on, those are things that we talk about, as we get together, and not that we have to necessarily be together to talk. I mean, if there's times that he and I just talk on the phone periodically, but it's one where, how do we keep doing the things we need to do to build this program to what it can be? And when I took the job, it'll be 3 years ago in July, I talked about my role of elevating the heights to new heights. And individually, you break that down. What are the things that we do with football? And there's things we've scratched off the list and we've gotten better at. There's things that we still have on that list that we need to scratch off. And there's things that, as we both have had more time here now, we've learned need to go on the list. I mean, sometimes I took for granted, having been an athletic director in the ACC for 9 years before I got here, that we were doing some things to the level of the ACC that we weren't. And so, some of those things were things I worked on with Jeff, but there's still some things I think when Bill and I look at it, and obviously, he had been at Alabama recently, and, it's probably a lot different in a lot of ways than when he was at Penn State, but maybe there's even some things that he did when he was at Penn State that we weren't doing, or we're doing in a different way that we want to look at changing. And so it's constantly looking at, how do we get better, understanding who we are as an institution, knowing that we're going to do things different at Boston College than they do at Syracuse or Virginia or Duke or Florida State or Miami or wherever it is, or around the country. And so again, it's looking at, how do we get better? But to get back to your question, I thought we took some great steps and things that we'll continue to work on.
We have, led by Blake, we've been able to improve in many different areas in 18 months. Right, Our nutrition program's much better. Our strength and conditioning program, we were able to expand that, hire a couple more guys. our operations program, player development. We got Sean Guthrie in here now, Maggie Barden. They're doing a great job with that. Our recruiting staff has been able to be expanded, which has helped a ton. Our recruiting in and of itself, our official visit weekends are second to none. And so there's so many areas over 18 months. I talk to Bears about this a lot. There's been a lot of improvement made. And the thing about Blake that I like is you can always bring something to him, and he really never ever says no unless it's ridiculous. Which I don't think I've yet to bring anything totally ridiculous to him. He might disagree with me, but he always
not
says
totally ridiculous.
He always finds
levels of ridiculous.
He always finds a way. He'll find a way to help try to make something
That's
better. And I
fantastic.
think it's been really good.
It's a collaborative,
Yep.
right, Blake? I mean, you've learned a lot.
It is. At the end of the day, we're going to be evaluated, and I'll say we, on how we do in football. I'm evaluated in how we do in football. I learned that very firsthand, just as our coaches evaluated in how we do in football. It's a very visible scoreboard. And when I talk with our staff, I talk about everyone has a scoreboard because it's easy to see what Bill does on game day, but every component in our department has to be winning on their scoreboard to give football the greatest chance of winning on their scoreboard. And so if academics isn't winning on their scoreboard, or he touched on nutrition isn't winning on their scoreboard, whatever it is, those are all things that take away our ability to win in the football scoreboard. And so, it's a situation we want to make sure that we're winning on every scoreboard, because when you play the game, anyone can win it. But the more things we do that increase our probability of winning, the greater our chance of winning.
Yep.
And great home field advantage. Bill talked about it all last year. Fan support's been terrific. You sold out season tickets for the first time in a long time. A daunting stretch of a schedule. You and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago at an event we did, but a very appealing schedule for the fan base. Bill might disagree, but
well, I think Bill would agree on a very appealing schedule for the fan base, because he and I have talked about this. I think where I corrected you is you said it's a terrific schedule.
I did. Yes.
I said, I don't know that Bill would say it's a terrific schedule.
I do say this though, and Blake, I know agrees with this. Having those games at home is a big deal. So we have a really, really probably one of the better home schedules that we've had in a long time here. With
No
three
question.
playoff teams coming in, but we also have a tough road schedule. We got to go out to Michigan State and then turn around and go back out to Stanford. So, there's going to take a lot of mental toughness, physical toughness. But like I said, I think the schedule, I wouldn't call it terrific, Meter, but I would say that, and I also wouldn't say it's daunting. We want to play.
Well, I'm trying to think of
Sometimes the adjectives that Meter uses, but I think it's a schedule that everybody should be really excited about.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You talk to everybody, there's a buzz.
Yeah.
We meet people all the time. Oh, hey, Notre Dame's coming, Clemson's coming, SMU's coming. You don't get that often.
Yeah.
And that's a point where, from a game day perspective, how do you feel about the game day BC experience now, from where you are, from when you started?
Again, it's one where I think we're better today than we were when we started. We need to continue to get better. We want to get better on the field. We want to get it better, away from the field. And so, how do we continue to work with things? Credit to the institution. We're going to expand our tailgating area, for the Cal, Notre Dame, and Clemson games. And, when you look at the Cal game, it's Parents' Weekend, which historically is one of the busiest weekends on campus. It's great to have all the parents back. And so, it's one where we look at it and we want to continue to get better. So from tailgating, from, how we operate with concessions, I think, credit to our concession people. They've done a great job of expanding, the offerings that we have and what we do as a program. And so those are all things, again, that we're constantly looking at. And so for me, what we do on the field is a box that I have to check. But at the same time, I think our fans recognize you're not going to win every game, and so we want to make sure in the things that we control that we're winning on much of those as possible. I hear from people, we need more restrooms. I don't doubt that at all. That's not always easy, but we're always looking at solutions for the different things that we, to an extent, can control. So the controllables, let's be, really operating on the highest level possible. game day, that's an uncontrollable. We don't know, the calls are going to be made in the game. We don't know what the weather is going to be like. We don't know just the ebbs and flow of the game, and obviously Bill will have the team ready to go, and they'll give the effort to get us the victory. But let's make sure that we're getting that effort across the board, and we're doing everything we can to make game day experience a special experience that win or lose, people are going to be like, God, what a great time I had on the Heights.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything. I think that winning has a lot to do with it too. And the more we can continue to improve the product that we put out on the field and we win games, we did a pretty good job at home last year. We need to be undefeated at home. That's your goal. You want to win all your home games, which is difficult, but that's one of the things we do talk to the team about, because I think the more that we can win at home, that will continue to help, to improve the atmosphere. But I think it's a lot better. You think about our students. There were several games where Blake would say to me, "Hey, there were 7,000 students here at the game, and there's only 9,000 undergrads. So to have that many students is a big deal."
Oh yeah, no, it's been enormous in terms of an interest. You've talked about it a lot. Make BC a destination. Yeah. Saturdays for college football.
You want to be fun to watch.
Exactly. So,
and I think to Bill's point, winning helps. And I think what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have the structure in place that maximizes the success we can achieve through the winning. So we want to have a structure in place that maximizes what we can do, win or lose. If you have the right structure in place, then it allows you to have either an even greater amount of that's the word I'm looking, capitalization on the success that you have that allows you to elevate the experience to a higher level.
All right, inside baseball, we just had to stop take because I'm coughing up a lung, but I hope I'm not, at least. But I did ask you before that, your most challenging aspect of the job besides me coughing?
I think it's just the constant change that we're going through. Again, when you look at just the house implementation we were talking about a few weeks ago, we thought that the decision was coming in early April, late April at the latest. And, here it is. It was, what was it, June, whatever that Friday was, June 6th, I think was the Friday that we get the decision for a July 1st implementation. And so it has our staff, which we have an incredible staff. I mean, Colin Schaefer and Craig Anderson, who have, really done a lot of the line share of the work, and their team, because I don't want anyone to think I missed them there. Really doing a lot of things, and I think we're going to be ready to go. It's just we're getting things as we go. Like, we're getting trained by the NCAA like this week, and it's something that has to be. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow that we're live on this, wow. and so just there's a lot of things. So I think that's a challenge is a constant change. When you look at I first became an athletic director in 2005, I think it was. And so when you look at 2005 to 2021, so 16 years, 2021 to June, whatever this is, June 16th of 2025, I'd say we've had 10 times the amount of change in the last 4 years than we did in my first 16 years. And it's just one that, and it was not that it wasn't constantly evolving. I mean, we went through all sorts of things. From back when I first started, it was, can we put peanut butter or cream cheese on bagels, to, the, unlimited food and all those different types of things. So I want to say, like, we didn't change for 16 years. There was gradual change that took place in college athletics. You think back, cost of attendance, those different types of things. But when you look from 21 on, it's just been exponentially greater, the amount of change that's happened. I mean, I never would have thought that my football coach and I would be having some of the conversations we've had to have, regarding compensation and rev share and NIL and, the whole transfer portal and everything that's going on. And so I think the greatest challenge is making sure that I'm doing everything I can to keep BC positioned to always be in that elite group. Right now it's, the A4, and we're part of the A4. As things continue to evolve, does that change? And when it changes, have we done everything we can possibly do to get a chair, in that next group? Because I want to be with that group that gives our programs, our student athletes, our alumni, our fans, the greatest opportunity to see us, achieve at the highest level. And there's a lot of things that go into that.
And this week's a big week marketing wise. You got the New Balance launch.
Yeah,
with football on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and just a huge win for us. And obviously, appreciate the entire team at New Balance, and obviously Jim and Ann Davis, and what they mean for our institution, our program. That's a super exciting opportunity for us. I did the deal at Miami with Adidas, and Phil Knight called me and was upset they were leaving Nike because Miami had been the first school that was an all Nike school, and then to leave. And I look at the deal that we got when I was at Miami with Adidas, and I look at this deal here, and this deal is an incredible deal for a program, like ours. And so just, so thrilled with the opportunity that we have to partner with a brand that is only getting stronger. I complimented them. I was fortunate enough to be in Paris last summer for the Olympics, and just the presence of New Balance there was amazing. And then you watch the French Open, you got Coco Gauff, winning the French Open in wearing New Balance, and you got Ohtani, with the Dodgers, and just everything they've done to elevate it. And now the next step in that project is football, and to be the marquee college football program that they're going to really take this forward with is just very exciting, and it'll be a great night to celebrate with them there on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for Boston College. It's incredible, what Blake's done to help this deal move forward. And I think the other thing about it is New Balance is only 2 miles from here, so we bring recruits over there where they see the lab, they see the track, the basketball courts. I know you guys know that's an incredible facility. With the Bruins and the Celtics, that whole block right there, and so to have them, because some of these places, Maryland is in College Park, Under Armour's in Baltimore. Oregon has Nike, but the Nike headquarters is a long way away. Ours is right here, so they're back and forth. We're over there, and I think it's just a great opportunity. And like Blake said, it's to me, they've got Marvin Harrison, Shohei Ohtani. He already said Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to overstep my bounds because I think they're getting some really great new people too, new athletes. So it's a great brand.
No, they've done amazing work. Yeah. Ray Hilvert's been a big part of that, former BC receiver.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to ask them to do is just in the coaching gear is the 2XL is really XL. I don't think I've gained that much weight. So when I see Ray again, I'm just going to say, hey, Ray, I'm probably 245 right now. I should be 235, but I've been working so that I think that it's not. I don't need a triple X.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't see you as a triple
X.
But
the 2X is kind of snug.
Do you guys have a voice? More towards you, but do you have a voice, Bill, in the development of the product?
Oh yeah,
like how
we went over there. We've been over there. Yeah, our players, a select group of players have been over there to test the shoes, the cleats. We've been over there to look at not only the cleats but the uniform. The uniforms are going to be awesome.
Is that going to be shown this week?
Yeah, you're going to see that.
Launch on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, they've been great. I would say they've been great. They come over here a lot. They're down in our equipment room with Casey and Shotzi when he's down there, and it's been good, really good.
So you have to look at that, Blake. BC's number one at this point. That's pretty good from an AD standpoint, right?
Yeah. No. Again, I think we couldn't ask for a better partner. Yeah. For all the things that Bill touched on, and since I don't see any clothes hanging on his Peloton, I'll reinforce the fact that we got to work on that double X.
My cleat is stuck in the pedal. If you look on the other side, I can't get the cleat out. That's my excuse. I haven't been able to use it because the cleat's stuck. If I could get somebody over here to help me get the cleat out,
I do it all. I do it once a week.
Fact, Josh.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah, you have a little bit more time than I do to get on the Peloton.
Basketball looks like they've had a good off season. Men's and women's, both men's and women's. Everybody we talked about at the event a couple of weeks ago. It's football and basketball.
Yeah.
At the Power 4, Power 5 level. What do the next steps have to be to take that program?
Well, the first thing I want to go back. Bill and I had the opportunity to be with Travis Rhodes and Earl Grant and others with Wider Horizons last week with a great organization. But I will say, having golfed with Earl, I can assure everyone he's not spent too much time on the golf course. That he's definitely been working on building the program.
Okay, good.
And so I was right there with him. So this isn't me just putting in Earl. It was
long day.
It was me. We had fun.
I played with him the week before, so he could say the same thing about me.
No, it was a ton of fun. But to answer your question, yeah, excited about what Earl's doing with the program. Again, he's got a whole new team in, and it sounds weird to say this, but going back to the question before on, you see it everywhere. Baylor lost their entire team.
Yeah.
We were able to keep a number of the guys on our team. It's something that Earl and I talked about. Last year is one we wanted to, really be able to keep the kids that really valued the BC degree and wanted to be a part of our program, recognizing we may not be able to keep all of them in this world of revenue share and NIL and all that we talked about before. And so Earl's done a really good job, I think, of addressing some of the shortcomings we had last year. And I think anyone would say, being fair, we'd taken steps forward his first 3 years. Last year we didn't take that step forward and probably took a step back. And so it was important that we focus on how do we get better. And I think he's just done a really good job of going out in this new world and really focusing on what he needs to do to have a team that can go out and compete. And I'm excited to see them get out on the court this fall.
Yeah, I think BC overall has done a great job with retention, with keeping guys in place from the portal. You've done a great job of that.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't kept everybody, but I think that's what BC is. For football. Football is different than basketball. There's more players and things, but we have to high school recruit and develop. The portal can't live by the portal because it's not easy to transfer in here. People, once kids get here, they really don't want to leave because of the value of the degree and this beautiful campus and all the great people that they come in contact with, being 6 miles from downtown Boston. So, yeah, we're more into the developmental. But our portal guys, obviously we got, 2 guys from Alabama. Favor Bate has had a great offseason, came from Merrimack. Tommy Matheson just arrived from Princeton Center. He's had a really good summer so far. So, VJ Wilkins from Campbell. And West Virginia, Michigan, Jason Hewlett. I don't want to mention missed names, which I probably already did. But we do have portal guys that are going to be really good for us. But the majority of our team will be high school recruiting.
Yeah, it seems like I had a guy text me the other day. How many players in the baseball portal already? How many? What's your guess? Over 1,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And this is a coach in collegiate athletics, a friend of mine, and it's just is that just the current reality? Is that what we're faced with now?
It's a current reality. I hope it's something that goes through a market correction at some point. You hate to see so many kids transferring from school to school, but I think there's an instant gratification aspect that goes into the decision that's made. Again, when you turn the clock back, and you can always say, well, in the the good old days, kids would come in and they'd be there for a couple of years, kind of learning their role and eventually evolve in whatever the sport was. And right now, it's a lot more of one and done here, one and done here, one and done here, and it's not one and done jumping to the NBA or Major League Baseball or the NHL or whatever it is. It's more of one and done into the next institution. And so, as Bill touched on, I think it's important for us to really find young men and young women that really value Boston College, want to be on this beautiful campus, want the Jesuit Catholic education, want to be in what I'll say is the greatest international college town any student could find.
No doubt.
And then you look at the incredible network that they really become a part of by being a student athlete here and getting that degree and going out in the world and the amount of doors that opens up as a former student athlete, as a ton, put that BC degree in their hand, and I think it exponentially increases the opportunities that they have. And so we'll continue to evolve and we'll do the things that we need to do. And obviously that is my role to support Bill and Earl and all of our other coaches in how we do that.
Yeah, I think I do this. We do this NFL presentation on the recruiting weekends, but over the course of time, I'm glad to hear Blake say that again, boiling it down to how we can all understand it is hopefully the market corrects itself, because it doesn't bode well for the kid that you don't. And again, I know it's the best example of all time. When Tom went to Michigan, he tells the story better than anybody. He was the 8th guy.
Yeah.
And after his second year, he said to Lloyd Carr, like, I'm leaving. And his dad and him, they said, you know what? Screw it, we're going to hang in here. We're going to battle it. And he didn't have an easy time at Michigan.
Not at all.
And it turned out okay for him. And I know that's the best example of all time, but I'm just saying if you fight through things and you continue to work and you take it one day at a time, our guys, I tell them all the time, stop worrying so much about the future. Be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Control what you can control. Control today. Let's have a really good Monday.
But Blake, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, great to be on.
We appreciate it and look forward to having you on again very soon. Anything else you'd like to share on the horizon?
A lot of moving parts. Look forward to an exciting opening day here with football on Saturday, August 30th.
Yep. And then maybe the next time he comes on, he can bring us some cough medicine for you.
Please,
so you can
please. Or a doctor, maybe. Yeah.
I'll put it on my list.
All right. Thank you, Blake James, Bill O'Brien, John Meterparel, Steve Ciaccio. Thanks for listening to episode 45, everybody, of the Bill O'Brien Podcast.